and welcome to the Murder, She Wrote Rewatch podcast. Today we're taking a look at the episode Paint Me a Murder. Indeed. This is quite a fun little episode involving a couple of interesting characters who we'll get into. But before we get into the story and whatnot, as always, we're going to take a look at our players, our little list of suspects and victims in the in this particular episode. So, first off, as always, we got Angela Lansbury as Jessica Fletcher, but we have a very famous actor, Cesar Romero. That's right, Cesar Romero himself, who is most known for playing the Joker in the 1960s Batman the television series and movies. That's right, Cesar Romero himself. Tall, suave, and sophisticated. Let's see here. Oh, look at that. He had two claims to fame. To one generation, he was the distinguished Latin lover of numerous musicals and romantic comedies, and the rogue bandit, the Cisco Kid, in a string of low-budget westerns. However, to a younger generation, Romero was better known as the white-faced, green-haired, cackling villain, the Joker, of camp 1960s TV series Batman, and a bumbling corporate villain in a spate of Walt Disney comedies, such as chasing a young Kurt Russell in the fun-packed Computer War Tennis Shoes. I remember that show. Okay. Very cool. He was also in, like, The Little Princess with Shirley Temple. He played Ram Dass. Chris Jorgensen in The Thin Man. And he was Duke Santos in the original Ocean's 11 movie. The original, oh my God. Frank Sinatra, Dean Martin, Sammy Davis Jr. Wow, the original Ocean's 11. Danny Ocean gathers a group of his World War II compatriots to pull off the ultimate Las Vegas heist. Together, the 11 friends plan to rob 5 Las Vegas casinos in one night. Wow. Huh. I think I might have to track that movie down just to see it, because that looks interesting. Alright. There we go. The last thing he was in was The Right Way, Mr. Peretti, in 1998. 202 credits to his name. He is in this episode of Paint Me a Murder, and he was back in another episode of Murder, She Wrote in 1992 as Marcello Abruzzi. Looks interesting. He was Peter Stavros in the Falcon Crest TV series, if anyone has seen that. But I think everybody mostly knows him for his stint as the Joker in Batman. Yeah. I like. Alright. And we have his wife. His wife, Belle Chaney. Cesar Romero played Diego Santana in this episode. His wife, Belle Chaney, was played by actress Capucine? Capucine. I don't know how you pronounce that. But she is well known. Oh, really? I didn't know that. Well known for the Pink Panther movie in 1963. Simone Clouseau. I guess either Inspector Clouseau's wife or sister? She's been in 3 other movies. North to Alaska. Michelle Bonet, a.k.a. Angel. Fellini's Satyricon as Tryphena. And She played Renee in What's New Pussycat. I haven't seen any of those. 1990, Blue Blood TV miniseries. She was in that. And given a lot of these acting credits otherwise, I have a feeling I got a feeling a lot of the shows that she was in were Italian or European, because the names of these movies are in languages I don't speak. She was only in this one episode of Murder, She Wrote, though. Huh. The Pink Panther, Simone Clouseau, and Curse of the Pink Panther as Lady Simone Lytton. I wonder if that's the same character with a different last name. All right. So she plays Belle Chaney, the wife of Diego Santana. But she's the younger wife to the older artist. There is also, where is she? Margot Santana, the ex-wife, played by Christina Rains. She is known for The Duelists. She played Adele in that one. She played Allison Parker in The Sentinel. She played Lisa the wife in a segment of Nightmares. And Mary in the movie Nashville. The most recent acting credit was the TV series WIOU. That's her most recent one. She's only got 45 to her name. She was in 2 episodes of Highway to Heaven. That's a show my mother has watched quite a bit. And she was Margot Santana in this episode of Murder, She Wrote. And she's got a few TV shows and whatnot, but this is stuff that I haven't seen. She's been in a few things. Love Boat, T.J. Hooker, Flamingo Road. I never even heard of Flamingo Road. Centennial's a TV miniseries. Yeah. I don't know what those ones are. Who else do we have? We have Inspector Henry Kyle, played by Ron Moody. Okay, that's an interesting biography for him. Equipped with a crooked, leering smirk and devilish gleam in his eye, the homely yet beautifully expressive mug of actor Ron Moody will be most assuredly remembered for one signature role. Well, what's he known for? Oh, that's probably the one. He's known for playing Fagin in the 1968 movie Oliver. Vorobyaninov in The 12 Chairs. H. Driffold Cosgood in Murder Most Foul. And Kris Kringle in Benji's Very Own Christmas Story. I didn't know Benji had a Christmas story, but apparently he did. 2 acting credits in Holby City, the TV series. That's his most recent, 2012. What do we got here? EastEnders. He was in 5 episodes of that. I think that's a British thing. The Animals of Farthing Wood, video game and TV miniseries. Hideaway TV miniseries. I think these are some British ones. And he was in this way. Oh, sorry. It's a bit late here as I'm recording this. Inspector Henry Kyle in Paint Me a Murder. That's that one. Yeah, I think these are British ones. They sound very British to me. So yeah, he's done a few things there. We also have Stefan Conrad, who is a sculptor and protege. He's learning from Diego, even though Diego's a painter. We've got 88 credits to his name. Last acting credit was in 1996, Lieutenant Cray. New York Undercover, George Zuckert. He played in 3 episodes of Law and Order. Nice. A 2-parter in season 1991, and then another one in 1993 as the same character. I love it when older characters come back in TV shows. Jake Barron and MacGyver, 1990. Huh. He's been in a lot of crime drama over the years, from the looks of it. He played this episode in 1985, and he was in another episode in 1985, Reflections of the Mind, Dr. Victor March. I think that's going to be in season 2, because I've looked at the names of the episodes left in season 1, and that one doesn't seem familiar, so I think he's in season 2. Not bad. He plays as I said, a sculptor. We also have Sir John Landry, played by actor Stuart Granger. His last known acting credit was an episode of Pros and Cons in 1991. The Love Boat, The Wizard, The Virginian. Where's Murder, She Wrote? Oh, I'm in the 60s. I need to jump ahead. Yeah, Murder, She Wrote, there. Sir John Landry. That's the only episode he did of Murder, She Wrote. Oh, God, there's a lot of... Well, I don't remember any of those. That's way too early for me. Way too early. All right. Robert Goulet as Willard Kaufman. Now, Robert Goulet is an actor that I think a number of people have seen because he's been in a lot of movies. Only 65 acting credits to his name. I would have assumed more. He was Quentin Habsburg in The Naked Gun 2.5, The Smell of Fear. He was Maxie Dean in Beetlejuice. He played himself, Robert Goulet, in Scrooged. And he was Singer in Atlantic City. Huh. He was himself in the TV series The King of Queens in 2006. Wheezy the Penguin, singing voice, uncredited in Toy Story 2. Nice. Weird Al Yankovic, You Don't Love Me Anymore video short. He was the piano player. Okay. Mr. Belvedere. Scrooge, Beetlejuice. Yeah, I remember those. Willard Kaufman, the only episode he did in Murder, She Wrote. Fantasy Island. Nice. He's been in a few things that I've seen. And he's got that face that is definitely recognizable. If you've seen him in something, you'll immediately recognize him to see him again. Robert Goulet. There you go. We also have Judy Geeson as Elaine Macomber. 1948. What's it? Pamela Dare in To Sir with Love. She played Lacey Doyle in The Lords of Salem in 2012. Beryl Evans in 10 Rillington Place, and Maria Cooper on the Newcomers TV series. So she's been in a few things there, and she's still acting. 2016, she was Sister Dragon in the movie 31. Gilmore Girls, Touched by an Angel, Mad About You TV series 19. Oh wow, 33 episodes, Maggie Conway and Mad About You. Nice. I remember watching Mad About You back in the day. George and Leo. Sandrine in Star Trek Voyager. Some more Star Trek ones. That's nice. What do we got here? She played Sister Ruth Fargo in 1986, Murder, She Wrote, and this one, Elaine Macomber, in 1985. Tales from the Unexpected, Breakaway, Poidark, I don't know that one, TV series, Star Maidens TV series, Fulvia. Fulvia sounds like an alien name. And of course she's been in some BBC stuff too, because of course she has. Of course she has. Alright, who else do we have? Fernando Allende. Actor, producer, writer. 67 acting credits to his name. He was Sergio in... Oh God. That is a massive series. Sergio in 165 episodes of Italian Bride. That's, yeah, these are definitely some Italian shows that I have no idea. Let's see, where's the Murder, She Wrote? Superboy, I don't even know that one. Club owner. Murder, She Wrote. Miguel Santana. Yep, that's the only acting credit he has for Murder, She Wrote. So not bad. He plays the son of Diego Santana. And the other ones we have Willard Kaufman there, Sir John Landry, Elaine Macomber. They're all friends, along with the inspector, who's kicking around there. So the show itself is really quite interesting. It starts off with with seeing a bit of a shoreline, goes to a house. As we see, it zooms in on a balcony, and then it goes into kind of a first-person view on the balcony itself, where we see someone up there. There's a hand bringing a chisel up and seems to be chiseling through like stonework that's holding an urn with flowers, and it ends up chiseling it till it like cracks through the entire base, and the hands come up and he like moves it a bit to make sure it's movable, and then we cut to the next day where we see Mr. Santana teaching a bunch of children how to paint, and they're all painting like a donkey, and he's going around offering tips and whatnot, while the parents are all enjoying snacks, while the kids learn how to paint. It's a very cute scene. We cut to seeing Mr. Willard Kaufman and Elaine Macomber standing around talking about it. Mr. Kaufman doesn't seem particularly impressed with the fact that he's teaching children. He's like, why is he wasting time teaching them? None of them, these people, will ever be artists. That sort of thing. He's definitely the sophisticate who only looks at the results. He's a little bit sleazy too. It's that pencil thin mustache he's got going. Elaine, of course, is the one that's all. It's sharing his gift. They have a little bit of an argument. They're talking. What's his face? Willard. Willard is talking about Margot, the ex-wife, and how she looked horrible when she arrived, and he kind of makes a very poignant remark of, she should make an effort to make herself actually look presentable when she's going to arrive here. And then Margot, of course, comes out and doesn't seem at all fazed by Willard. Just definitely snapping at him. Belle also comes out bearing a tray of snacks, and she ends up heading out over to the kids. And she runs into the inspector, who's wearing a very dapper hat. A very dapper hat indeed. As Belle begs him to go and maybe defuse the situation that's over there, even while he tries to sneak a bit of the snacks for himself. Then Belle goes off and brings the treats to the kids while they're painting. We see the inspector coming over and talking to the other three, pouring himself a drink. And the subject of the paintings, of his paintings, Diego Santana's, comes up. And one of them mentions that, everybody here owns one. And the inspector says that he doesn't own a painting. He owns a pencil sketch done by Diego, and he prizes it highly. Margot, of course, owns a painting, and asks Willard if he owns one. And Willard says he does. He bought one, and he names the painting. I can't remember the name of it now. I think something Mons or something. It's a Spanish name. It was very hard for me to read. But he says he admits that he bought it recently. And then Elaine McComber says that she is jealous, and if she ever owned one of his paintings, he'd sell it, or she'd sell it and use the money to put towards her charity that she runs. Willard then, of course, is talking about, he segues that into talking about not Miguel's son, Diego's son, Miguel. Sorry. And how, he hasn't put in an appearance yet. Next thing we see is Miguel himself on a radio phone talking to somebody else off this island, because they're all on this remote island paradise in the middle of the Mediterranean. And Miguel is talking to someone named Maria, and how he can't get away. And it seems to be very urgent how his father would not like him talking to her. Something's going on. The next thing we hear is that Diego has invited, there's still a couple more guests, one of whom is a man named Sir John, and the other one is Jessica Fletcher herself, coming to visit. Then we cut away to a little sculpting studio, and we see Stefan and Belle, and Stefan is unveiling this bust that he carved of Diego, and it looks amazing. It bears a definite likeness. Belle is, of course, ecstatic about it, and Stefan kind of, it leads into this moment where Stefan admits his love for Belle and ends up kissing her. And of course, Belle is shying away, and Stefan seems to be of the opinion that while Diego loves Belle, Belle does not love Diego because he's so old, and she should love him. They part ways. The next thing we see is a wonderful dinner party with all the guests. J.B. Fletcher has not arrived yet. Jessica's not here. Diego is, of course, toasting all of his friends and his success and everything, and has a gift for Elaine because of her charity and all her good work. He is giving her a brand new painting that he's done up. It is of 3 starving children. And when he unveils it, everyone else is like amazed and ecstatic. And how the work is so exquisite and lovely and whatnot. So he's gifted her this painting, which on the heels of her remarks sounds a little bit prescient, I would think. The inspector actually finds it magnificent. The art doesn't appeal to me, but I'm not. I like what I like when it comes to art, and the style and whatnot doesn't grab me. But then I'm no artist. Next thing we see is somebody having a smoke up by that urn that there was a bunch of chips knocked out of it because it was made to be easily pushed. And we hear music playing, a guitar. We see Diego walking down below, playing his guitar. Apparently this is something he does quite a lot. For somebody to have gone to the trouble of preparing this ahead of time to push over on him. Belle, of course, brings Diego a drink, and Diego is playing his guitar, heading towards her. And he kind of stops for a bit, still playing, while the fellow pushes the urn, our murderer pushes the urn off the balcony, and Diego, of course, sees it coming and gets out of the way. Everything's fine, and he brushes it off as being, oh, it's just the old place falling apart. We'll do some repairs soon after the guests leave. But you can tell from the expression on his face, he knows that was no accident. We see Willard and Elaine fishing down the beach, and Margot and Diego and Mr. Henry there, where is it? Henry Kyle, the inspector, shows up, and as they're arriving, the helicopter also arrives, bearing Sir John and Jessica Fletcher. Everybody goes and greets Jessica and Sir John. Sir John is very much the dapper British man, but then so is Inspector Kyle. He's from London as well. They have some small talk and whatnot. We find out Jessica ended up meeting Sir John on the way here to the airport, and they had company on the way. Those two. There's a bit of introductions going on, and while that's happening, Willard, we hear Elaine all of a sudden cry out, and we see Willard stumbling and falling into the water, and Elaine right there. Everybody rushes to the scene and pulls them out, and Willard ends up getting shipped to the mainland in the helicopter. Of course, Miguel, Diego's son, ends up running right to the beach after him, which is kind of made me wonder, because he was like out of breath when he got there, and he's like, "What happened?" And Diego was like, "I have to go to the mainland with Willard. He's my guest. I'm responsible for him." And Miguel's like, "No, I will go in your stead. You stay here. I will do this for you." And it struck me as being strangely insistent that he wanted to get off the island. The helicopter takes off and heads back to the mainland, bringing Willard out to get himself looked at. On the way up to the house, Diego tells Jessica, after she's all settled, he wants to take a walk with her. There's something he needs to talk to her about. And he explains that he wants her to investigate what's happened, because he knows someone's trying to kill him. And as far as he can tell, it has to be one of the guests at the party. Somebody on the island has to be the one who did it, because this island is pretty much inaccessible otherwise. There could be like a boat could maybe land in one small spot on the island, but otherwise you got to get here by helicopter or the big ferry. So either that happened, maybe, but he believes it's one of his guests, and he wants her to look into it. So she agrees to. We see the next scene, Margot playing the piano as Elaine comes in, and she gets a little bit frustrated. I get the feeling that she used to be like an absolutely amazing pianist in her day, but given the way she's maneuvering her hands, I have a feeling she's got some bad arthritis that is preventing her from playing as well as she used to, and that upsets her. Sir John comes in and has a little talk with Elaine just about Margot and her relationship with Diego and Belle. I mean, the ex-wife here with the actual wife. And Sir John also wants to help make a donation to her cause by selling the Diego painting at his auction house minus his commission fees. Like, he'll just sell it for free, and she can take all the proceeds and put it to her charity, which she graciously accepts. Next thing we see is Jessica on the balcony picking up a couple cigarette butts and a book of matches. And while she's doing that, the inspector comes out onto the balcony and asks if she's found any clues. Jessica tries to play it coy here for a bit, but the inspector points out that he's noticed there's chisel marks on the pieces of pottery, on the urn, part of the urn that he found downstairs, and they match the chisel marks on the thing up here. So it's obviously it wasn't an accident. And he also knows that Diego doesn't trust him because he's a suspect along with everybody else. So he seems to be maybe trying to get ahead of the curve here. He's trying to get Jessica to reveal some more information. She doesn't want to say. They talk about the weight of the urns and how he doesn't think Belle could have done it because she's so small and slight. But other ones could. Other ones could have. Then Jessica ends up pointing out that she found the cigarette butts and a book of matches. And they were torn out from the left side. So, a left-handed smoker. And there's only one person that fits that bill. Willard. He's a left-handed smoker. But he's now off the mainland. Maybe he faked his heart attack to get himself off when the attempted murder didn't work. That was entirely possible. We see a bit of an argument happen then that Jessica and Inspector Kyle overhears / sees between Diego and Stefan. Diego's talking about how his hospitality here does not extend to his wife. And Stefan is like, "You insult me, sir." And they have some heated words before Stefan storms off. But Inspector Kyle does make mention, because Stefan pokes at Diego's chest, that he's definitely right-handed, because in the heat of the moment You always poke with your dominant hand. We also see Elaine was downstairs watching those two upstairs. We see Inspector Kyle making a phone call to the hospital then with Jessica there, and he asks a few questions and finds out that Miguel, who went to the mainland, has disappeared. He pretty much left as soon as they got to the mainland, and nobody's seen him since. Huh, something may be going on there, perhaps. I wonder, I wonder. But there's also the fact that Willard did not seem to be faking it because he had all the symptoms. Regular heartbeat, very fast pulse, fast breathing, all this and that. It's stuff that it's kind of hard to fake. There's of course some trouble and whatnot, and Diego doesn't want to involve the police. He doesn't want to cause trouble and spoil things, even though this all has happened. Next thing we see is a little later. Everyone's all dressed up, and what's his face there? Diego is explaining to Sir John about the crossbow that he has and how accurate it is for a shot that he's got, because he's got one hanging up on his wall. Margot comes in, and they have some kind words to each other, even though they're husband and wife. Sir John, of course, is asking, how do you pull this off, my friend? I mean, you, your ex-wife, your current wife, and you all seem perfectly happy together. To which Diego says, it's nothing but love, Sir John. That's how you do it. Margot ends up playing a little tune for everybody, while Inspector Kyle calls Jessica aside and has a couple words with her about the case and how he's about some of the theories that he's had, which is kind of interesting. Jessica, of course, has her own opinions. Before they can get too involved in things, Margot goes and runs off in the middle of a song. And of course, this gives Jessica a moment to talk with Sir John somewhat. And he ends up mentioning the fact that he's got a painting of Sir John in his gallery. Elaine goes and comforts Margot, and Margot basically says that it wasn't her hands or anything. It's the fact that she just she can't keep pretending anymore, because she doesn't really care for Belle, and she still kind of cares for Diego, but it's one of those untenable situations. The next thing we see is a mysterious person from the first-person perspective taking the crossbow and a quiver of arrows down from the wall. Oh no, who could this be? We then see good old Diego taking his dog out bright and early in the morning for a walk. Jessica is heading down through she's on an early walk as well, but she's looking for something. And she finds a little cove where there's a boat beached on the shore. We see Diego and his dog, and we also see this from the point of view of somebody holding a crossbow as he's getting it ready to shoot. Or maybe it's a her. We don't know. We can't see. But someone's going to shoot Diego. It's not going to be good. Jessica, of course, runs across Inspector Kyle, who seems to be breathing rather heavily, and he's been looking for Jessica for some time. Jessica, of course, is like, I don't think I can trust you, sir. You're acting awfully suspicious. We hear screaming then, and we see Elaine Macomber has found Diego, I should say, with a crossbow bolt in his back. We also see the crossbow laying on the ground, far, far away, as the camera pulls back, and we see Stefan stepping up beside the crossbow and looking over ahead, and then heading off somewhere. Ooh, what could that mean? They bring Diego back to the place, or his body, I should say. There's definitely some comforting going on for Margot and Belle, who ends up finding out her husband has just died. Good old Detective Kyle there, Inspector Kyle, is removing his gloves when Belle comes in, and Stefan is rushing up shortly after because his master has died. Oh, it's a sad moment. Of course, the crossbow's gone. Sir John, of course, wants it found immediately. They want to get off the island as soon as possible, and they can't because they can't get out until the helicopter arrives the next day. Oh dear. Inspector Kyle calms everyone down by saying that he doesn't want to stay either, but they're going to have to because they can't leave yet. The police will be here, and they'll be able to take care of some things. Eventually. Because the radio's busted. Somebody's busted the radio, they've got no way to call. So they got to wait until the next morning, or hope that maybe somebody realizes something's wrong and comes out earlier. Sir John wants to find that crossbow, so he's going out looking with Stefan. Jessica, of course, is motioning to Inspector Kyle to come out too. And Jessica is, of course, I don't think that, she tells Kyle that she doesn't think that it could be somebody on this island. It could be someone else. She wants to show him. So she takes Kyle off, Mr. Henry Kyle there, to where she found the boat. And when they get down there, they see somebody's pulling the boat into the ocean. The good inspector lets a bellow out of him, and they go rushing to go after the fellow. But the fellow, in his hurry, whoever this is, ends up capsizing the boat and dropping a package in the water. Jessica and Kyle runs out, and Kyle pulls the man back in. Jessica brings the package, and we find out the package is a number of Diego Santana's paintings that his own son was stealing. Belle, of course, goes off on him, and Miguel tries to explain that he needed the paintings to be able to sell to get money to get Maria out of jail because she's involved with some nasty people. And of course that's why Diego doesn't want him talking to Maria. We never see this Maria, but she causes a few issues for poor Miguel. But he didn't need to steal the paintings. The one who gets everything is actually Belle, not Miguel. Sir John comes in with the crossbow. They found it. He, of course, is... Sir John is accusing Miguel of doing it because he's he's the crack shot with it. Things get very heated, very tense between everybody. To the point that Sir John ends up popping Miguel one. Because Miguel pisses him off. Next thing we see is Jessica raking up the beach. And the inspector comes by and compliments her on her lovely seaside gardening. And she says that she was thinking that maybe Willard's little heart troubles were a little too convenient. And perhaps it was brought on by a chemical. She makes a mention of a chemical, but I can't remember the name of it off by hand. And she rather quickly, because she's been at it for a little while, she rather quickly ends up finding a broken ampule, which may indeed have the chemical. Next thing we see is Sir John coming down the beach toward the two of them, saying that Stefan is gone. His room's been cleared out, so obviously he's the killer. They'll go and head back up, though Jessica goes back to the main manor at Inspector Kyle's insistence, and the other two go, along with Miguel, to search around. Sir John thinks that Stefan is gone for now, long gone. Probably we'll never find him again. It's nighttime then, and Jessica ends up waking up to see Diego's studio on fire. She rushes on down, and other people rush up, get the hose, get the water. They end up getting in and pulling Belle out of the burning building. Oddly enough, the fire isn't in too many places. So, yeah, that Hollywood effect. It's only after they leave that things start really, really coming down and getting engulfed in flames. Good old Hollywood effect. They end up putting the fire out eventually. And Bella's, of course, saying that she couldn't sleep when they questioned her. And she went in and saw a little fire, and then someone grabbed her from behind, and she ended up passing out. Jessica wants her help to conduct a little experiment so they can find out exactly who grabbed her. And that's when she finds out that due to Belle's remembrance, it was a right-handed man, or a right-handed person, which she finds interesting because originally they thought it was going to be a left-handed person. What with who the left-handed smoker was. That turns the wheels in Jessica's mind. Of course, it's almost shortly after that that they all think that Stefan had been laying in wait and left as soon as the distraction of the fire happened. There's also the fact that there's like dozens of new paintings that Diego had been working on that was in that shed that are all burned now. Just gone forever. Such a shame. Inspector Kyle and Jessica have a few more words as well, and Jessica lets it be known that she doesn't think it was Stefan, and she doesn't think it was Willard. It was Willard either that killed him. She knows pretty much who did it, and so they're going to make it happen. We see the helicopter arrive on the beach, and Sir John come down, packed up, ready to go, looking for everybody else. Um, Jessica, of course, makes mention of the police having quite a few questions, which is why she's not getting ready to leave yet. And basically tells Sir John that he's the one who killed Diego Santana. Dun dun dun! That's right. That's what she thinks. And he, of course, is like, oh, please. Come now. Everyone knows it's Stefan. He's like, nope, nope. It was you. And she lays out the whole plan. Everything that was going to happen. Because the painting that Sir John mentioned owning was the same painting that Willard said he bought. Oh. So what happened is Sir John and Willard were working together. Willard was buying paintings using Sir John's money. Buying up Diego Santana paintings. He's been having quite a few bought up. And they're actually pretty sure that this is all going to come to light. Jessica is, of course, laying everything out to him, and the other guests are popping in and corroborating the bits and pieces of the story. And you can see that Sir John he knows they're onto him, but he's still trying to make it not seem like it's getting to him. Of course, by the time that Sir Kyle arrives, he makes mention that he's already called the authorities from the helicopter's radio, and that the police are going to have questions, but before they question everyone here, they're going to the hospital and they're questioning Willard. And they're pretty sure that Willard is going to fold like a cheap folding chair. And that's when Sir John here has a very interesting moment. When the widow there, when Belle is confronting him, he's looking around at all the guests are basically confronting him with this, and he kind of looks around at them and is like, well, I'm basically losing everything. The art world is very fickle, and my auction house is almost bankrupt. So don't you see? I had to do this. He's trying to get them to empathize with him just because his business is going under. It's a very interesting motive, and the fact that he's trying to get them to understand. It's a nice moment. We then see everyone finally leaving. Jessica's going to stay around a few days to be with Belle. But she says she's going to stop off in London. She tells Inspector Kyle this. Stop off in London to visit a cousin. And he's like, how boring. She's like, maybe I can spare a few hours for you. And the inspector's like, well, maybe we'll get to solve a murder while you're out there. And of course she's like, no, I don't want to do that. And of course he's like, well, you never know in our line of work. And they laugh and credits roll. This episode was really good. I enjoyed this episode quite a bit. It definitely has that old school vibe of a murder mystery where it's like everybody's trapped on the island, so one of them has to be the killer. Oh no. It was really good. I liked the characters. I wasn't sure who did it right up until the end. There's been a couple of episodes where I could kind of figure it out beforehand. I had a good idea. Like, I thought Willard had been the one. Like, I thought for sure he's a sleazy bag type character. He's probably the one that did it. Then he goes and leaves, and there's an actual murder, and I'm like, no, it couldn't have been him then. Who could it be? For a bit, I thought it was going to be like one of the women, but nope. So yeah, this was a good episode. I liked this episode. It was quite well. And I got to see Cesar Romero. I've only ever seen him in a couple episodes of the old Batman. Uh, and that was years ago. It might have only been the movie, too. Yeah, not bad at all. Not bad at all. So that's it for this episode of the Murder, She Wrote Rewatch podcast. Thank you all so much for watching. As always, if you like what I'm doing, please give that like button a tap. Give that subscribe button a tap as well if you haven't already, so you can be kept apprised of when I do new videos. And throw a comment in the comment section. Let me know what you think. If you guys watch Murder, She Wrote, please let me know what you think of this little rewatch podcast that I'm doing. I've been noticing that people have been watching it and there haven't been too many comments, but let me know. Are you enjoying it? Do you like the format and whatnot? Do you have any suggestions? Do all that. And join me next time as a private detective hired by Jessica to research an old case is suddenly murdered in Tough Guys Don't Die. Join me for that fun times. Join me for more crime drama, for more super fun, awesome stuff. And join me for more murder.